question. Why is it that I cannot sleep? And when I do sleep, I feel like I'm awake every night since my awakening. What you will find as you rise your frequency beyond the density and the distortion of amnesia consciousness, or that of the interpretation of being asleep, is that your conscious awareness and your ability to see beyond the sleeping state has not only an energetic recalibration and alignment into interpreting your world in a different way, yet it also has a difference in your physical expression and need or ability to require certain aspects of sleep. The challenge is that many of you are so attached to the narrative around how much sleep your body or vessel requires, and that you are unable to shift into its new natural state of a circadian rhythm that is more in energetic alignment to your new cellular structure and vibrational frequency. So what takes place is the resistance point of the belief system that you require more sleep than what you are getting, rather than the acceptance and surrender into the aspect of self that does not need more sleep than what one is getting, yet allowing that version of rest to be the new experiential learning expression. If one can allow themselves to release the concepts and the ideas of sleep and how much sleep a vessel requires to stay in maintenance, and the story or narrative around their desire for continuing to stay asleep in the illusionary self, as well as awaken into the true self and the makeup of the energetic expression of spirit in form, you will be able to transition out of the fatigue that is created by the aspect of self that desires to awaken beyond the illusion into a waking dream state, and that of the aspect of self that desires to stay in the sleep state of unconsciousness and separation. So what that means is basically the fatigue that one experiences as their vibration increases is that of the direct conflict point of the belief systems. We believe that we need 8 hours of sleep. We believe that if we don't get 8 hours of sleep, that we'll be tired. We believe that our body, as our physical vessel, requires sleep. We have these ideas and concepts of not just our sleeping realms, but as the channel expressed, is our beliefs of how much of me wants to stay asleep and how much of me actually wants to be awake and living my waking dream, my creation dream. And so these identities basically play out in conflict against each other. And so amnesia, insomnia becomes an aspect of reality that is very uncomfortable to be in, because you have an individual that is wanting to ascend into a higher frequency, but there is also the part of the mind's constructs that are wanting to stay in some level of unconsciousness, some level of amnesia, some level of not wanting to see the truth of reality. And so the part of not only being this aspect of belief systems around the human three-dimensional sleep and looking at this story that you have running, and how can I go into my waking dream state? How can I be the healer in all times? How can I be alchemizing my consciousness in every expression of my human experience, waking or sleeping? How can I go through mystery school? How can I experience reality in a different way in my sleep state, rather than just unplugging and going into unconsciousness, because that's what many of us have been doing in our sleep state, is we've actually been unplugging completely, disconnecting, disassociating, and not remembering in our dream state. And then when we start to plug back in, we start to have insights in our dream. We start to visit people in our sleep state. We start to have prophetic visions. We start to receive extreme levels of spirit guidance and higher self guidance in our sleep, that is saying, if you sit with me in the morning in your waking state until you dissolve the separation point around awake and asleep, because really, in truth, we have the capacity to be awake at all times, even in the physical reality. When we dissolve that point of sleep and awake in our day-to-day human life, then you won't need to sit with your dreams in the morning, because your sleep state will become your waking state. Now, this is a very advanced part of ascended mastery, of when you start to go to sleep, you're meditating, you're not actually sleeping, you're still conscious, present, and in an altered true state of source connection. And it's just a different experience of being in the wakened dream. And releasing the attachment and the disconnection points of wanting to stay in amnesia, wanting to stay in the shadow, wanting to stay where you're not on all the time, where you're not connected all the time, where you're not working all the time, where you're not active all the time, where you allow yourself to be presently in acceptance of, oh, I don't want to be on all the time. I don't want to be connected all of the time. That means that I actually want to stay in unconsciousness and separation.